Hi there, I'm Dee with the Sanctuary LA, and I can't wait to talk to you today about meditation, the joy of meditation, the art of meditation, and some of the challenges of meditation, the things that come up when you've had a practice for a while. One of the questions that I get asked all the time is, how do you do it? How do you do it? Do I use an app? Which app? Do I incorporate mantras? Should I use essential oils? Should I burn something? What are the best ways to get me the best meditation practice? And what I have to say to that is none of that really matters. All that matters is that you just sit down. Those were the words that I heard 20 years ago when I was going through a really low point in my life. It was pretty dark, and I heard this still small voice through all the clutter that I was going on inside. I heard to just sit, and I was willing to do it. So I just started sitting. I sat on the floor and I just listened. I did not have an instruction book. I just listened, and quite quickly I started to feel some peace. Maybe in the first, few meditations, it was quickly enough to keep me coming back, because it was one of the only times that I felt some relief, some peace, some space inside, because there was a lot of turmoil and anxiety and depression, and that was what got me to begin the meditation practice. So I'm here to tell you, you don't need anything but your willingness to begin, just as you are, wherever you are. 5, 10, 15, whatever amount of time you want to give it. I would recommend 30 minutes. That is what I started with, and then eventually went up from there. And now my practice is a good hour a day. I can't even imagine missing it. I have a teacher that I have studied with. His name is Thomas Hubel, and he says that meditation will go from being a discipline to a love affair. And that has been my experience. It is truly a love affair, and I engage in it daily because it has transformed my life. Another question that I get asked a lot is, it doesn't seem to be working. Why is it so loud when I sit down? Why, when I sit down to meditate, I have all these thoughts and I can't get it to quiet down? That's exactly why you need to meditate, because you're filled with mind chatter. And that is so normal. The mind has not yet been trained to settle down and to still itself. That is something that, as you practice over and over again, and you keep coming back to the present moment, or you keep coming back to the breath, which is the portal to the present moment, your brain starts to slow down. Our minds are like a locomotive train. They are on go, and they have a lot of momentum, and they don't slow down. So you have to intentionally sit and let the mind kind of just do what it does. Let the mind give you all the thoughts it can give you, and eventually you'll start to see that your mind is not you. You're this awareness back here. You're kind of behind it, and these thoughts just kind of bubble up and trickle out. You'll start to have an uncluttering process within, is what I like to call it. And they'll start to become a little bit more peaceful inside, a little bit more spacious inside, and you won't have so much chatter all the time. The next thing I want to talk about with our thoughts is the possibility of being so still. When we're so still, we can connect to a source of inspiration that is not of the mind, it's of our higher self. And when we connect to that higher self, we can receive greater inspiration, creativity, fresh ideas. If you want fresh content for your business, for your YouTube show or whatever, you definitely have to have a meditation practice. Otherwise, you're just regurgitating thoughts that have already been happening, that are already available. If you want to create something fresh and new, you got to have a meditation practice, because that's, as far as I know, the only way to dip into that deep source of inspiration. And that will give you the answers to problems. There will be solutions that will rise up for difficulties that you've been trying to, maybe figure it out, really working through something, trying to figure a solution out. That's just not the best way, not the most gentle way, not the most efficient way. The most efficient way is to let it go, to breathe, connect to the present moment, connect to your source of inspiration, and listen. See what comes up. I promise you that it will be a much more effective and easier way to your issues or your problems. There's nothing that you have to figure out yourself. There's always a higher self that is available and ready to help, to guide you through whatever comes up in your life. So let's talk about how meditation affects us in the real world in real time. How does that help us? Well, if you start your day in meditation, you go out into your space, do your practice. What happens is your nervous system gets switched into a relaxed state. And when you drop into a deep place of stillness, you get rejuvenated. Your body and your mind and your spirit all commune together and they get rejuvenated. Your batteries get charged. You aren't starting the day rushing and on an empty tank. So you're starting the day from a connected place. That will make all the difference in your world. When you go out into the day and you start to get busy, which we all do, and we have stresses, what will happen, what you'll start to notice is that you have a choice. You'll start to have a choice of whether or not to react to the stress. How am I going to handle this? Or how am I going to respond to someone's comment that triggered me? I get a pause, I get a breath. And then from there, I can activate a higher inner wisdom and respond from either that higher wisdom, or I can just choose a higher thought to respond from rather than go off. And that's not gonna probably happen every time, but it'll give you a greater chance. And then there will be less to clean up afterwards. You'll have more clarity in how to respond to difficult situations. You'll feel more inspired, more alive, more vibrant. And yay, that's the way we want to feel, right? Another way that meditation helps us is it rewires our brains. There are a lot of studies have been done on how meditation affects the brain, and it can literally transform patterns, old grooves, old ways of thinking in our brain, and start to fire synapses in a new way. And you can begin to have a whole new way of thinking, a whole new way of life that is filled with a lot more positive energy, positive thinking. And that is a great thing, to have new ways of seeing, new perspectives. You might have had an old habit that was really difficult to let go of, and meditation can help to let go of some of those negative patterns that cause the old habits. Let's say you have been so faithful and devoted to your meditation practice and things are going along really well and they feel really good. And then one day you sit down to meditate and something doesn't feel good and you want to get up off the cushion and get busy with something else. But what often happens in meditation practice is that as we're decluttering our inner landscape, it creates space and room for some deeper old things that we may have, brushed under the rug many, many years ago, maybe from our childhood, things that haven't been dealt with, haven't been digested, so to speak. And those things now have the room to float up into our awareness. And that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong with your practice. It more so means that you have created an opportunity for yourself to heal from some of these deeper, if you want to call it a wound or a trauma. There are times when we are ready to look a little deeper at these things. And if it is too difficult to look at, there's always, I encourage you, of course, to seek out help from someone that can support you as you are going through any difficult, turbulent emotions or difficult times in your life. Always good to have a team to support you. I have a great team. I've had a great team for many years, and it's a resource that I value so highly. Just know that it's kind of like if you're holding a piece of, foam underwater and you let it go, it's just going to rise to the surface. So these things can happen. They can pop up into our awareness. And one of the key things to do is to just be able to sit with it. You don't have to do anything with it. There might be feelings. You might have some tears that come up. You might have, some anger rise up. And that's all okay. There's nothing wrong with your practice. In fact, it's working. It's doing what it does. And you just get to sit with it. And that process of being able to sit with yourself, no matter what is coming up, is one of the deepest intimacy that you can ever experience. The deepest self-acceptance of being able to sit with whatever is coming up. That is a beautiful process. Not easy, but simple and beautiful and transformational. So I can't encourage you enough to begin a meditation practice if you aren't, and to continue if you are on the path of this great awakening.